Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so I am here today because we're going to be looking at progressions again. Yes, specifically solar arc directions, because there are a few things that I wanted to revisit, a few very important things. So yeah, consider this an updated version of solar arc directions. I suppose you could say secondary progressions gets its own video, and then solar arc directions get their own video. And if you haven't seen the secondary progressions video, I will link it down below. Maybe you can kind of see the differences here between what I'm going to say today and that video. But yes, I do hope that you find this video to be helpful. As always, I can't wait to share this information with you. So on that note, let's do this. Okay, so in the previous video about secondary progressions, I said that progressions represent our personality changes and how our personality just evolves over time. But really, I should have been a lot more specific. It's actually your secondary progressions that represent these things, but it's the solar arc directions that play a different role, okay? Solar arc directions, they are connected with big life events, with key life events, but at the same time, it's also these life events that can shape us, that can impact us internally, of course. They can contribute to our growth and our development. Now, as I said in the secondary progressions video, I have not used solar arc directions in my practice, but after reading into it, I investigated my own and I'm pretty blown away. So I'm going to share what I found with you today. I'm going to break things down so it's simple enough to follow along with. I do hope that you find things to be understandable, easy to follow along with. And I'm going to start using solar arc directions. Yes. Especially given that they are a very useful predictive tool. They add a whole new layer to the cake. Though another important thing that I want to know is orbs. And I will explain what orbs are throughout this video. Right, solar arc directions, they're kind of similar to transits in that both transits and solar arc directions, they can represent things that we may be experiencing. But solar arc directions are more monumental, so to speak. Or at the very least, that's how they seem. Now, before I go any further, I'll explain what they are and how to find them in this video. I'll give a quick tutorial on how to find them. I did that in the previous video, but here we are again. So, solar arc directions, they are also known as the degree for a year progression. So looking at the solar arc progressed sun, for example, if your sun is in Scorpio at 10 degrees, by the time you're about 30, your solar arc progressed sun will be in Sagittarius at 10 degrees. Then when you're 60, it's going to be in Capricorn at 10 degrees, so on, so forth. Though the interesting thing about this method is that it is based on the sun's movement. And so all the planets, as well as the AC, the DC, the MC, the IC, those angles, they move the same amount as the sun moves in one day. Right, so on that note, let's go over a really quick tutorial on how to find your solar arc directions. So I'm going to be using astro.com for the purpose of this video, and I'm also going to be using my chart as the example. Credit goes to astro.com for their chart generators. So go onto astro.com and type in all of your birth information, your time of birth, your place of birth, your date of birth, all that good stuff. Then select your name and then go to extended chart selection. Once here, select your chosen house system. I'm going to be using whole signs for the purpose of this video because that's what I prefer, but you can choose whichever house system suits you. Then go to chart type and select natal and solar arc directions. Notice here how every single planet and angular house has moved. Every year, all the planets move 1 degree. And so every 30 years or so, expect your progressed planets to be in a different sign, in a different house. My Capricorn stellium, which is natally in the 5th house, that's progressed into Aquarius in the 6th house. And then my Aquarius stellium, which is natally in the 6th house, that has progressed into Pisces in the 7th house. Another thing is that you can pull up your natal chart with your solar arcs and your secondary progressions by going to, I'll show you here, natal progressions and solar arcs combined. But if that's too confusing, you could always have them side by side. Just being able to look at all of these layers is what will give you the bigger picture. All right, so I'm going to share a few of my own solar arcs, and maybe you can consider looking into your own, see what things come up for you, and keep in mind your natal placements, and also remember aspects and especially conjunctions. Conjunctions are very powerful. Yeah, if you have a solar arc planet and it's conjunct one of your natal planets, very powerful. But again, I'm going to share some examples today. Oh, and by the way, in this section, which I'm showing you, where it says start date, you can type in the date to see what was going on at the time, or when something might even change in the future. So, interestingly, back in 2011, I experienced my first long-term relationship. And right here on the screen, notice how my solar arc progressed Saturn had just moved into Pisces in the 7th house of one-on-one relationships. And Saturn, the planet that rules over structure and all things long-term. Now, that relationship lasted 4 years. A very rocky, confusing, and emotional 4 years. Still, my first long-term relationship, some would say, is a pretty big event. Now, it's also a good idea to locate the ruler or rulers of that house so you can find out more information. And interestingly, my solar arc progressed Jupiter, the ruler of my 7th house, was in Libra in the 1st house. Libra, the sign of relationships. And then my solar arc progressed Neptune, the other ruler of my 7th house, was in Aquarius, accompanied by Venus. So big relationship themes. Another key event was in 2012, and I moved abroad for the first time. I moved to Australia for part of my work experience year, and then I moved to the USA for the remainder of that year. So notice how my secondary progressed midheaven moved into Cancer in the 11th house of alliances and teams. And Cancer, of course, rules over home and family. And I lived with large groups of people in Australia. And I worked with even bigger groups in the USA. And in the USA, we worked together and we lived together. And then looking at my solar arc progressed moon, The ruler of my 11th house, that was in Taurus, the sign of earning a living, earning money. And it was in the 9th house too, the house of long distance travel. So again, a major life event. Living abroad for the first time. And I'm from Northern Ireland, just for some context. Okay, so another major event I want to mention is when I joined group therapy back in 2020. So this is pretty recent. And the crazy thing about this one is that my solar arc progressed Venus and Neptune in Aquarius made a conjunction to my natal Mercury in Aquarius in the 6th house. The 6th house of health, Mercury, the planet of the mind, and Neptune conjunct Venus, representing a great deal of self-compassion and healing. And also in 2023, the solar arc Venus and Neptune will conjunct my natal sun in Aquarius in the 6th house. So maybe that will be when I feel ready to leave group therapy. We will see. We will see. So that's just a few examples that I wanted to share. Again, make sure you are considering natal placements and aspects, especially those conjunctions. So on that note, what about orbs? What are they and what role do they play? Well, in a nutshell, orbs show the difference in degrees when it comes to aspects. So take the trine, for example, the angle. This is a 120 degree angle. So if you have Mars in Leo at 12 degrees and Venus in Aries at 17 degrees, well, they are going to be 125 degrees apart. Therefore, that would be a 5 degree orb because of that 5 degree difference. Or take the conjunction. This is a 0 degree angle. So if you have Saturn in Aquarius at 10 degrees and the Sun in Aquarius at 19 degrees, this is what I have. They are 9 degrees apart, meaning that would be a 9 degree orb because of that 9 degree difference. However, that's a very wide orb and it won't be as powerful or as potent as a 2 degree orb, for example. Even take my Venus and Neptune here. Both Venus and Neptune are 17 degrees in the sign of Capricorn in my chart. And so in this respect, they're a package deal. I can't express my love for someone without Neptune getting involved. And I also can't retreat without my Venus getting involved. Yes, still, the smaller the orb, the greater the impact. However, 10 degrees is usually the limit. Once you go over 10 degrees, it's no longer a conjunction, okay? And I did read somewhere that some astrologers consider 8 degrees to be the maximum. Though, if, for example, I see a Libra stellium, so a cluster of planets in the sign of Libra, and some planets are not conjunct, well, I'm still going to look at the bigger picture anyway. But yes, I hope you get what I mean by orbs. Though the question is, how do orbs connect in with solar arc directions? Well, when I mentioned that Venus and Neptune made a conjunction to my Mercury, my natal Mercury, there was a 1 degree orb between Mercury and Neptune, and Venus and Mercury were making the exact same degree. Therefore, showing something huge, showing a big transition. The fact that my solar arc progressed Aquarius planets, the fact that they are making conjunctions to my natal Aquarius placements, that's a huge thing within itself. Big changes when it comes to my health, big improvements. I've been making a difference. Also, big leaps and breakthroughs when it comes to my work, when it comes to my daily routines and practices. Even looking back to the year 2016, when I started this YouTube channel about astrology, my solar arc progressed Uranus made a conjunction to my natal Saturn in Aquarius in the 6th house. The 6th house of work and service, Saturn, the planet of career and purpose, but also the planet of obstacles and hard work. And then Uranus, the planet that rules astrology and technology and communities. And since discovering astrology, I've been working online. I've been working for myself. And I've built this incredible community here on YouTube. And I'm able to say that being an astrologer is my profession. And also Mercury, the ruler of my midheaven in Gemini, well, that is in Aquarius, making a 3-degree orb conjunction to my natal Saturn as well. And the midheaven is associated with our purpose and our profession and our public image. It has felt like I'm climbing a mountain, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And also keep in mind that I have this Capricorn stellium in the 5th house with my North Node. So who knows, maybe this is what I'm meant to do. You know, maybe this is part of my calling. Maybe creativity and teaching and astrology and business, they're a part of my mission, so to speak. Essentially, when it comes to solar arcs, please consider your natal placements. See how certain solar arcs activate your placements. What big life-changing events play out for you, and how do these things shape you? How do you grow and develop through such experiences? Though before I finish up, do also consider squares and oppositions. Just remember other types of aspects, okay? Yes, things like squares and oppositions, they can be more challenging, but it's through our challenges as well that we can grow. You know, back in 2018, my solar arc progressed Jupiter in Libra, made a square to my natal North Node in Capricorn. And this was a pretty big turning point for me financially and physically. My self-worth was challenged, my skills were challenged, my physical security as well. But 4 years later, things have worked out. So yeah, have a look, Cosmic Warriors, and see what you find when it comes to your solar arc directions. Who knows, maybe you will be surprised. Maybe when you look into the future, you'll see some exciting things up ahead. Though, on that note, I really do hope that this video made sense today. Please, as always, let me know if you could follow along, if you got something from this video today. Let me know in the comment section, and just overall, let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button and also give this video a like if you did like it today. And I will be back with another video very soon. Bye.